I'm monitoring you.
You ready?
Also,
Okay, we'll just say a few words for introduction. Good evening, and welcome to our Literary Tuesday, which today is focused on Lithuanian writing. Since currently we have Aušra Kaziliūnaitė, I'm really bad at pronouncing Lithuanian.
oh, actually, that's perfect. Thank you.
As our writer in residence in Tartus. And Aušra is actually the last resident of 1.5 year long project we've been doing that's been supported by the Nordic Culture Point and has involved 5 writers from Nordic and Baltic countries, to be more accurate, from Lithuania and Iceland. So we started out December 2023 with the Lithuanian author Kristina Sadauskienė as the first president. Then there have been 3 writers from Iceland, Ingvar Eriksson, Thordís Helgadóttir, and Vala Thorods. And now Aušra is the last participant of this residency project. But the project itself doesn't end with that. Namely, we have asked each resident to write a letter to the next one. And Aušra, in turn, can write a letter to the first one to complete the circle. And these texts will be gathered together and will be all translated also into Estonian and will be published as a multilingual collection that we hope to present during this year's Literary Festival Prima Vista. But now to today's conversation, where we have Jayde Will to talk to our guest, and Jayde will do the further introductions about what's going to happen tonight. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank. Kas peaks siis saama?
It's not for...
See on ülekande jaoks, võib vist selle tagasi.
Tagasi, okei, olgu, okei. Kui saab nagu kuulata. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Maria. My name is Jayde Will, and I'm a translator and a writer working for the Latvian Literature Platform. And it's so nice to see all of you here. A couple things before we begin. This event will be in English, as was advertised before. And also, if you have any questions, there will also be a little bit of time that you can ask. The format of the event will be as such. We'll have about a 40-minute conversation. Also, oops. We'll have about 5 minutes for questions, and then there will be an approximately 15-minute film done by Aušra that includes both visuals and her poetry. So very happy to welcome Aušra Kaziliūnaitė here, philosopher, writer, and poet, and I'm sure many other things, and I'm sure we'll find out more about that. So I'm very happy that she could come and be a part of this today. I've actually known Aušra for I don't know how many years, but this is really the first time we've had an opportunity to do an event together. So this is a very exciting thing. First of all, I wanted to ask Aušra a little bit about where she grew up, because oftentimes I see on her social media, she posts things from the place, that the house where she grew up. And for me, it'd be great to know a little bit more about that.
So, hello everybody. I'm really happy to be here. And I'm also very excited to have this public conversation with you, Jayde. We had previously not many, but quite, interesting conversations about literature and geopolitical situation of Baltic countries and philosophy and a lot of different topics. So it's always intriguing for me to talk with you. And actually, thank you for this important question. I think the place where I grew up actually influenced my writing, and not just my writing, but also as well like my political views and also like philosophical interests, because I'm also teaching philosophy at university. So, and I think the place and this place that I call home, actually it's very different from the places that usually I am like traveling, staying, working, being, because I grew up in a very small Lithuanian village on the north of Lithuania. And actually this village is called Daučgiriai, and it's close to Latvian border. And from that region, many famous Lithuanian writers just came to the world. Let me say, like, for example, classical writers like Bernardas Brazdžionis, who was like very famous during restoration of Lithuanian independency, and also like Kazys Binkis, and also Balys Sruoga, grown up not very far from the place that I grew up. And also another important writer as well as thinker and avant-garde film creator, director, Jonas Mekas. And Jonas Mekas is known as one of famous Lithuanian artists in the world. He did his career in New York mainly, where he just, emigrated with his brother Albertas Mekas, and both of them influenced American avant-garde cinema a lot. And it's a lot of like interesting things related to the place where I grew up. And one of very important things to describe the place is nature and forests, rivers. We also have in one of the biggest cities nearby, called Biržai. We have one of the biggest artificial lakes in the whole region, like in the north of Lithuania. And it's interesting story, like I grown up with that story, but this artificial lake in the heart of the city was created by the hands of people, like, this Radvilai family. Actually, we hear I think everyone hears us. It's quite, talking. We are talking loud, so it's okay. But the thing, is that this families, important families like Radvilos, they had lands that belonged to them, and this part of nowadays Lithuania at that time also belonged to Radvilai. And one of the most important families from the time of Grand Duchy of Lithuania, with very long history. And the thing is that not just land, but people also belong to them, in old times. So, for example, the fact that people dig out this lake in the heart of the city, it's also interesting information to think about, how the landscape and nature could be affected by some power relations, political situation, and things like that. So from a very early age, I was not actively thinking about that, but it was somewhere in the background, and it was possible to reach somehow this information. Also, this region of Lithuania is specific of different religious beliefs, because Radvilai was known as not Catholic family, but Reformed family, and
like a Protestant
yeah, exactly.
family.
Thank you for helping me.
Yeah.
And one of the things was that from quite early age, we also let people in that land express a lot of different religious beliefs. And also, a lot of different confessions still nowadays is quite active in the city. And another interesting thing, a bit even quite mystical, I guess, about that region is that I think I will ask you to translate it. Karstinių įgriuvų regionas.
So it's a geological...
Yes, it's geological terms about what place.
So it's some sort of karst. You say that in English as well, but it's some sort of crevice, correct? I believe it's like a crevice of some sort.
This is this thing that, deep groundwaters are very near from the earth, and the thing is that, for example, today maybe on the corner is the house, but maybe in a week this house could start sinking, because everything is very unpredictable, because of gypsums,
plaster. It's essentially the soil is sandy.
Yeah. So soil is sandy, and this water just destroys these structures that it stands. So, but it's also this thing that, for example, the water is so close to surface, that people, if they are using chemicals in farming or agriculture, they could affect water, and it would be not quite good quality drinkable water, or something like that. So everything is very vulnerable, but at the same time quite interesting, because it's quite hard to predict the things. And why I'm mentioning all this information for you. The important thing is that my father and my mother, they was doing their careers in Vilnius and Panevėžys, bigger Lithuanian cities. But then I was born, and I was born in Vilnius. My parents decided to relocate to this village, Daučgiriai, where I grew up, and they started agriculture farm without having any news how to do that. Because, in Lithuania, like this kolkhoz system collapsed.
Yes.
And it was not such a thing as private, independent farmer. So they were like one of the first in the region. And they started doing this thing without being, people from a city without knowing a lot about the thing that they are doing. And growing up, I was also kind of forced to experience all these experiments because they were trying grow rabbits, for example, one year. Next year, rabbits escaped and they started living in our garden for some reason. And it was a lot of holes and many rabbits around, and I was playing with them. At that time, we also had 14 cats for some reason. Some of our neighbors' cats came to us and we started feeding them, and they just gave born a lot of kitties. And sometimes, for example, we were doing these things that starting to, I don't know, to have chickens, ducks, but after maybe it was, gaila, nužudyti.
Well, it was unfortunate to have to kill them in the end. So
yeah, so it was kind of interesting, my childhood in that place. And also, but I haven't realized that because I was used to this. And another thing was what also my parents became part of Tatula program. And Tatula, it's the closest river from the place that I grew up, just 1 kilometer.
Okay.
So me and my cousin, we usually were swimming in the river and we were fishing and and Tatula program, it was one of the first ecological farming programs in Lithuania, and I think it had some connections also with region and more programs related with this green and ecological farming. And the reason why that place was one of the first that started this program, I believe it's related with this geological specificity of the region, that this water it's so close to a surface. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Because I have to say that during my time in Lithuania, I was very much in the city. I didn't really go anywhere. I didn't really know anybody in places like this. So this sounds like a super fascinating place. So, wow, okay. But then what made you then decide to go back to Vilnius to study?
When I was growing up, on one side it was a lot of nature around and animals, trees, river, but also at the same time, from very early age, my parents was reading me books, and the majority of that books was books for grown-ups, for example, my father, at that time I was even not going to a school, I think, but he was reading me Faust by Goethe and Thomas Mannas as well and things like that. So I kind of, grown up liking books and it's sometimes it's strange because, growing up, when I was older, I sometimes experienced this flashbacks. For example, you're starting to read a new book and you think that you are reading it first time, but you are feeling, oh, everything is so familiar. And after you just find out that, okay, so maybe someone, parents or relatives read this book for you when you was maybe 4 years old or something, but you don't remember it, but
Yeah.
it's somewhere in you. Like. So I think maybe it's also could be one of the factors which influenced it, but I'm not sure, because I believe that a lot of people could grow up with books, but at the same time, like not to choose to write books or to study humanitarian studies, philosophy, or something like that. And actually, my father, he is mathematician, and when I was growing up, I really thought that I'm also going to study math or theoretical math or maybe physics. And I also had problems with foreign languages. Like at school, the first foreign language that we were taught was Russian language. And, I had like a quite crazy teacher. And during, I think at that time I was in 5th grade. And when this Russian lesson started, and I was kind of traumatized, I believe. I'm not sure if we talked before about this experience.
No, I didn't hear.
So this Russian teacher, he was like angry for some reason, like very angry. And usually, especially when we are doing mistakes, like reading, talking, or answering questions. And I remember it as a torture, because usually she was asking us to read Russian text loud.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's in English, kirche.
The stress of the words.
Yes. And when we were doing mistakes, like she was drawing kartuves.
Oh, she was doing like the hangman, like.
Yeah. This game that you do something, but it was in the public, in front of a class. And oh my gosh, I think maybe it was twice when I just ran out outside the room crying. Yeah, and I was in 5th grade. And I think, because I always was doing mistakes in like reading in Russian, and he always was hanging me in front of all class. And now it's kind of funny, but at that time it wasn't. And and it started.
I think that's very old-fashioned teaching methods, I would say.
And and after like I started feeling with insecurity to speak in foreign languages, or to learn foreign languages. And I think it was half of the reason why I was doing very great in chemistry, physics, math, and I was planning to study all this kind of nature science, maybe, but I wasn't thinking about myself as about humanitarian, so, and everything switched, I guess, maybe when I was graduating, because I really fell in love with history and decided to study history, and it was first degree that I got from university.
Okay.
And after it was religious science, and after philosophy PhD, but the first passion was history.
Okay. And then how does the writing figure into all of this? When were some of your first publications then, and where?
Actually, I started writing creating poems, even before starting writing, because I was dictating it to my mother, and she was writing it. And she still has, I think, maybe 1 or 2 journals with very funny and quite crazy and actually not good at all poems in rhyme.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I'm writing in verse, so so I'm not writing in rhyme anymore. And after, when I was at school, I think it was like twice I was writing, so our teachers was suggesting to send this poem somewhere to journals, to magazines, to culture press in general, but also they were directing us to national philological contests. I don't know, or you have this thing in Estonia, but in Lithuania we have students from school, they could just send their writings, and it's some kind like a contest, but it's like nationwide, and
for secondary school.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I won twice, like second place in like national wide contest.
Okay.
And usually, if you win, you have opportunity to study like philology at university. If you are trying to get into, before it was what they also giving you some bonus points or something. I don't know how the system works now.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And my first national publications appeared in National Culture Press when I was 14 years old. So I'm one of the oldest and youngest writer in Lithuania at the same time. We could joke about this thing, because now I'm 37 years old, but my professional writer's career now, it's going to be 23 years.
Wow, okay. Because I know that oftentimes in the Baltic, it's not atypical to publish at a younger age, let's say late teens, early 20s, but 14 is already quite young, I would say. So, okay. Would you perhaps want to read a couple poems right now?
I could. Actually, now I was talking too much, and now I feel something in my throat.
Okay.
So maybe it's time to you, Jayde, to talk.
Okay, all right, I will talk. I did want to ask a little bit about the things that are surrounding your poetry, like all of the other things that you are doing and that you're known for. First of all, I wanted to ask a little bit about the various residencies that you've been doing, because it seems that you've really done a very broad spectrum of residencies recently. I saw most recently that you were in Japan. I know that you've also done residencies in the Baltic, but how did that start? And for you, has that been something that you've been able to use to your advantage? Did you feel that really helps to get projects done, find inspiration?
Actually, my fifth book, what we have on the table, There Is No Sea, is the title. And I counted when one of the journalists asked, so I counted what poems in this quite small book was written in 15 different countries.
Wow, okay.
So it's quite small book, but a lot of experience engraved in it.
Okay.
Yeah, but actually, yes, I think, I believe my first residency was the one what I mentioned for you before we started this event, Vestlust writer's residency in Latvia. So it was 2014. I did, some writers' residencies and I received some fellowships, but I don't think that it is quite a lot, because a lot of my friends, writers, international writers, some of them doing maybe 10 residencies per year or some. It depends, I did some residences, and one of the most important residency of them all, I think, it was actually Tartu residency for sure, but another one. It was international writing program in Iowa. One of the longest running writers residency programs in the world. And I did this program 2018. And it provided amazing opportunity, not just to spend some time in States. I was 4 months, because I had another one residency after this residency. So in total, I spent 4 months. Yes, and it provided opportunity for me also to meet a lot of people from writers community, but also gave me opportunity to travel around the States, to give lectures at New Orleans University on poetry, to read in one of the most important poetry venues Poets House in New York, and a lot of very important and interesting places. But at the same time, I think the most important thing during that residency was the thing that I understood, that I can just relax and write what I want. Because before I was thinking, Lithuania is so small country, and I was recognized and noticed from very early age. And I was thinking that so it's so important, to be to write, not to be on the same level and never let you to relax. And at the same time, I was I had very huge ego. Now I still have one, but previously I had even bigger ego. And this residency 2018 in Iowa, and in Iowa, it's also important because a lot of Nobel Prize, Literature Nobel Prize winners before becoming Literature Nobel Prize winners also attended that program, and things like this and that. And, during that residency, I just spent 3 months together with more than 30 talented writers from all around the world. And I noticed how talented they are. And I also was asking each of them, could you write the list for me to read 10 books written by authors from your countries, like
Okay,
translated
interesting.
into English.
Yes, yes.
And I haven't read all these titles they provided, because it was more than 300, I guess, titles. You know?
Yeah.
And but the thing is that it was eye-opening experience, because I noticed that, you know, in this world, so many great writers, talented authors, poets, and the funny thing is that a lot of them never get Booker Prize. They never will be maybe translated to Lithuanian, Estonian, and like all of these languages. And, you know, then you understand that, you know, almost all good things is already written, and now people writing even more good things. You can just relax and to have fun. So for me, this thing happened.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Huh. No, I mean, it's interesting. Like you said, I think oftentimes in the Baltic, and I think it doesn't matter whether it's Estonia, Latvia, or Lithuania, when you're noticed at an early age, maybe there are some expectations that come with that reputation. If you write something that isn't so good, people start to complain, kind of, not in the press, but just people comment. So I can understand that this may be an issue, or this was an issue at some point, and then you were just able to relax and write what it is that you want, at least on some level.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my best.
One other thing I wanted to ask, again, about with all of these other things that you do, I know that poetry slams are very popular. I know here that in Estonia, you've been organizing that for quite a long time already. But you're also hosting an event called the Literary Sprint. So could you tell us a little bit about that? A little bit different format, it seems.
Yes, actually, this format of readings in Lithuania exists, I believe, like 60 years now.
Really?
Yes,
Oh.
I started this
Okay.
this like cycle of events. Then I started my position at Lithuanian Writers Union, because I was vice president of Lithuanian Writers Union for 4 years. And at that time, I was like working mainly as literature and culture manager, and also working with literature festivals. And I started to rethink from my own experience, you know, how I felt growing up as a young writer, young poet in Lithuanian literature community.
Mm-hmm.
And actually it was quite toxic, you know, like in Lithuania, majority of poetry awards awarded to men writers. Like one of the most important Lithuanian poetry award, it's called Jotvingių Premia, I guess. Something
the
like
Jotvingian Prize.
So I don't remember numbers now exact, but I think maybe it was awarded more than 30 times, and maybe just 3 women won this award.
Okay.
So, like, you know, and another thing is that, but I think it's quite common in a lot of like small and not so small countries. And when I'm talking with colleagues from former Soviet Union countries, it's quite similar. The interesting thing is with Latvians, because in Latvia it's totally different situation. Like majority of poets are female writers who winning like awards and things like that, as I hear.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in Latvia it's interesting situation that when we're asked by publishers or just in general by readers who want to know more about Latvian literature, generally we're promoting primarily female authors because I think those are the ones that are the most noticed. They're the ones that are selling the most copies. Probably people know Nora Ikstena's Emapim, which was also translated into Estonian. Soviet Milk in English. She is Latvia's biggest bestseller and most well-known author, and is also, in terms of children's literature, Anett Meletse, who's worldwide famous female author. So yes, in Latvia, that we're a bit of an exception to that. So.
Yes, so, and another interesting thing that, for example, growing up in this literature and poetry community, we experienced this urge to be like more competitors than like comrades, let me say. Because like from very young age, when I participated in a lot of literature-related events, almost all of them was somehow related with this contest. And like, you know, if you're taking part in the readings, you know, in the end, it's going to be winner. Maybe 3 winners. And, you know, so the main idea for me was when I decided to create something different for beginner writers nowadays was, you know, to create events like, you know, platform where no one is going to be like named as a winner. Mm-hmm. So, for example, what is important in slam poetry events in Lithuania, in United States, in France now, like slam poetry readings very like popular in France, and I believe in Estonia here as well, that in the end of each event is going to be named the winners and things like that. And so we started literatūrinis sprintas. It's called sprint because it's just 5 minutes for each participant, and they could do whatever they want, like on the stage. They could read poetry, prose, spoken word, you know, and everyone is perceived as a winner because we acknowledging that for the person, especially if this person is a bit more shy person, it could be like really huge victory, just somehow to convince himself or herself to be on the stage and to read for the first time. And I saw like a lot of like young writers, sometimes a bit shaking and reading for the first time on the stage. And after, you know, situation changing, because this first, second, third time, when your hands and legs still shaking while you are reading, could transform you and to give you courage to write and to read and to share your creativity and your text with the audience, like with real confidence. And I saw, you know, quite a few transformations during this year. Some of these young writers even published their books, that started before in these readings. So, and I think, that it's not like what I think that shouldn't exist, slam poetry readings or something. I just think that, people are very different and they need to have like opportunity to choose different platforms to grow and to find their own voice.
Wow, that's great. So to have that sort of...
but from this year I'm going quit and I'm not planning to work with this project anymore, but I'm very happy that the Lithuanian Writers Union still continuing.
Okay, great. Okay. One thing I did want to ask, perhaps before we watch the film.
I could read, yes.
Yeah, so I will get the English poems ready.
Omletas. Ruošiausi kepti omletą. Praskėliau vieną kiaušinį, tada antrą. Trečiame radau murziną berniuką. Sėdėjo be tėvų, vienas, prekybos centre. Šalia savęs turėjo dėžutę. Apsidairiau, ar niekas nemato, ir toliau gaminau pusryčius.
These poems are translated by the wonderful translator Rimas Užgiris. Omelet. I was planning to cook an omelet. I broke one egg, then another. And in the third, I found a grimy boy sitting there, parentless, alone, in a shopping mall, with a small box at his side. I looked around to see if anyone saw, then continued to prepare breakfast.
The next one is longer. I don't know for what reason I'm feeling this, but I will try to do my best. Konferencija. Iš tiesų tai jokios jūros net ir nėra. Mus apgavo. Bet kartais labai puiku būti apgautam. Ypač kai ta apgavystė tokia keista. Tokia nei šiokia, nei tokia. O per kavos pertraukėlės yra cinamoninių bandelių. Viskas labai paprasta. Tiesiog nuvedi žmogų prie jo tuštumos ir duodi maudimuką. Visą likusį darbą atlieka pats. Šniokščia, ošia, banguoja, klykia, ūžia ir visos kitos nesąmonės. Vadinasi, jau užkibo. Dabar jau pasakos visiems, kad yra jūra. Atsiveš čia, prie tos tuštumos, per vasaros atostogą šeimą. Žais paplūdimio žaidimus. Gal jei labai pasistengs, net gaus saulės smūgį. Vaikščios visas romantiškas vakarais ir žiūrėsi saulėlydžius. O rytoj su visai nepažįstamais žmonėmis įsirengs ir sausakimšame plotelyje deginsis, paskui pliuškensis tuštumoj. Gal net kur giliau įbrydę šiek tiek nusišlapins. Matys savo veidą jūroje, matys mirgėjimą. Visi tie įvairių spalvų akmenėliai, negyvų moliuskų kriauklės, stiklo šukės glotniais paviršiais. Anksčiau jie buvo aštrus, tada kai dužo ir dar gerokai po to, aštresni nei dabar. Matys jūržolės, jos slepia daug paslapčių, jos slapukės. Žino daugiau nei mes, jos žalios, o paskui gelsvos, kartais netgi labai juodos. Išmestos ant kranto dvokia. Jas kapsto tie maži paukščiai, kurių pavadinimo nežinau. Prieš nusisukdami nuo tavęs jie visada džiugiai sucypsi. Vėlai naktį, stovėdamas priešais veidrodį, girdės žuvėdras. Matys atspindį, banguojantį veidą ir ant kranto išmestus skenduolių kūnus. Jų rožinės lūpos švelniai šypsosi, jų rožinės akys yra rožinės. Pasilabini su visais, paspaudi ranką, pasiūlai kavos ar arbatos ir susėdę diskutuoja, kas apie žvynus, kas apie tai, kaip iš tiesų niekas nieko nereiškia. Tie, kur geriau pasiruošę, neturi PowerPoint skaidrę su jūrine lydeka.
Conference. To tell the truth, there is no sea at all. They tricked us. But sometimes it's good to be tricked, especially when the trickery is so strange. Neither here nor there. And during the coffee break, they give us cinnamon buns. Everything is quite simple. You just lead a person to their emptiness and give them a bathing suit. They do all the rest themselves. Gurgle, sew, swell, scream, bluster, and all that other nonsense. That means they're hooked. Now they'll tell everyone of the sea and bring them here to this emptiness. The family on summer vacation will play beach games, and maybe if they try really hard, will get sunstroke. They'll take romantic walks in the evening, watch the sunset, and tomorrow unclothe among complete strangers and sunbathe in a crowded space. Then they'll splash about in the emptiness, maybe go a bit farther in to pee. They'll see their faces in the sea, see the glimmer of all the multicolored stones, shells of dead mollusks, glass shards with gentle surfaces that once were sharp when they broke, and for a while after remained sharper than now. They'll see seaweed full of secrets, whose folds hold more knowledge than ours. They're green, then yellow, sometimes even quite black, thrown out on shore. They smell, and little birds pick at them. I don't know their names, but before turning away from you, they always cheep in their cheery way. Late at night, standing before the mirror, the people will hear seagulls, see reflections, see wavering faces, and the bodies of the drowned tossed on shore. Their pink lips tenderly smile. Their pink eyes are pink. You greet everybody, shake hands, offer them coffee or tea, and sit down to argue. One about fish scales, another about how nothing really means anything. And those who are better prepared even have PowerPoint slides with pictures of deepwater hake. Time has gone by really fast. I thought I'd maybe give the chance for the audience if you had any questions. Now would be the opportunity, front row.
Yes, could you please tell us more about the design of this, the last poetry book, because it's very interesting.
I am very happy that I have this opportunity to work with very talented Lithuanian book designers, and one of them is Agnė Dautartaitė-Krutulė, and she created the body of this book. And Agnė is very well known in Lithuania, but not just in Lithuania. Few years ago, she has also received like Best Designer Award, Red Dot Award, but it's given to a best designer in Europe. And her work very pricey, but she likes my poetry, so she did this book, and actually it looks very minimal, but it reflects like this main essence of the book, let me say, like the poem that we just read with Jayde called Conference. And this poem is like the main poem of the book. And in this poem, we are just discussing the citation that C doesn't exist, but everyone acts like it exists. And, this imagination and also this this uncertainty to be part of society and to be part of sometimes delusional things. And today it's like important day, because today maybe our destiny is being to be decided, this like Russian and American discussion started today. And my fourth book was I Am Crumbled Walls, was about the walls, about differences between societies and between different parts of ourselves. And in this book, this game with outer and inner world and this transactional origin of all this changes that happening inside us and outside us and how it's connected. It's very important. And Agne actually reflected it perfectly, because I told Evelyn before, but even this sound in the book, like this sound, it's, designer tried to recreate the sound of that flip-flops, in this life. And so C doesn't exist, but all of us creating this C with our imagination and our daily lives, and it becomes true. Like great American writer Kurt Vonnegut, one of my favorite one, once told that you should be very, very atsargus,
Cautious.
What you are happen apsimesti.
When you pretend.
Yeah. You need to be cautious what you are going to pretend, because it's going to become the reality, like new one. And Agne created this book that's trying to create C. It's not C, but this book becomes like a C. It's a bit this game like Michel Foucault was talking about Magritte talking, that is, there is no pipe, this representation game. So this representation game also happening because we even don't have in this book title anywhere, the one place, it's just reflection, and you can read it just in reflection. So I really love this book design.
Yeah.
That's why I was talking too much, sorry. Thank you for a great question.
Maybe we have time for one more question, if there's any. Going once, going twice.
I asked a question. What
Yeah.
is the question that you would like to be asked?
I don't know, actually. I think, I should answer to this question with my whole life.
Could you explain what is the question and the full answer of the question? What is the question that the most intriguing question and the full answer to this? What would be the proposition, claim, or idea? Do you have any clue about this whole issue? About the discussion or question and the answer what you read? Is there anything like the idea behind?
I'm not sure what I understand. Could you like? Yeah. I noticed this, but I haven't understood the question itself.
Maybe I'll say about it.
No, could you repeat one more
Is there
time?
any idea behind this? Waiting for the question that would be really intriguing for you, and is there existence of the answer to that? What is the existence behind?
I hope what I understood, but my English sometimes also doesn't do for me a favor. So sorry. Yes, so you was asking what would be like the perfect question and answer to it, right?
Yeah. Is that something that would be related to this?
No, I think I think I'm not gifted enough to answer to this question as well. But I could try to suggest, something in exchange. So, sometimes when you are doing quite a lot of events, and people repeating questions. But I have very bad memory. I don't remember human faces. I don't remember questions, and I don't remember a lot of things, and I think maybe it's part of this thing. My brain is like ADHD brain, so it has also different neural things that happening. But the thing is that maybe it's a sad thing. Once, one person told me, I came to you and I introduced myself 6 times this year, and you still don't give a fuck about me. And I was like, okay, that's how I need to feel now. But I wasn't on purpose. I don't remember the person.
Yeah.
And why I am telling this thing? But because it's a tragedy in it, but also it is something nice and interesting how our brains work. And for example, it is some true in that person saying, because if something really, really matters to me, my brain finds a way how to bring it back. So, for example, I have maybe, let me say, a few questions, but I remember, and this is very deeply rooted to my personality, ever-changing personality, but still backgrounds of it. And one of this question was asked in Poland. At that time, we were having together the event with great Lithuanian poet from older generation, Tomas Venclova, and someone from the audience asked quite a basic question, but the reason why it was important for me, that I never asked this question myself before. So it helped me like to find some inner truth. And the question was related about our, like, let me say, ars poetica, like how this our poetry kitchen looks, and how like we mainly navigate in this creation process, and what is the main philosophical power, what urges to write, and yeah, so. And at that time, you know, listening how Thomas Venclova was answering, I found my answer because it was totally different from his answer. And like his answer was about language and how like his poetry is very deeply rooted in the language, and how everything is based on the language, and this also this helped me to understand that actually, you know, when I'm writing, yes, language is very important to me, but the main task of writing process for me never been language itself. Maybe it could like sound a bit pretentious, I agree, but the thing is that you know, I'm using language as a system, like, and this system helps me, like, you know, traffic sign system to navigate person, and to, like, for example, we could use like Google Maps. So for me, like, language itself is something like Google Maps, and I'm using it, and I am using it as a tool to bring people and to show them būsenos, state of being, what it's impossible to express and verbalize in the language itself. So. Yeah, so this question was important for me because I understood something what was important for me about my writing process. Thank you for question.
For the answer.
Okay, so I guess now we will watch the film. So it's about 15 minutes, and